Hello everyone, welcome to my series on A2019 or Automation 360 programming, and today we are going to discuss a very simple Excel use case. Now what we have here in front of us are two Excel files. On one side we have a table which contains employee details, and on the other side we have an employee information form that needs to be filled up for every employee that is present in this table. So basically the use case is very simple. We pick up records from this table one by one and we fill up this employee information table, and then we save the file with the name of the employee. So right now this is a template file that will be blank. We're going to use this template file and then save the template file as the name of the employee. So what we have here are just two files, employee details and employee form template, and this template form will be copied for each employee and a separate file will be created for each employee with the employee name, and the details will be filled up in the fields in this form. Okay, so let's start with this. Now the first thing that we need to understand is whenever we are dealing with employee records that are in a tabular way, the best thing to do is to pick up all the records and put them in a data table. Now it also depends on the volume of the records. If the volume of the records is too high, then the better way to do is to execute a select query and then bring the data on a data table, or maybe filter out a certain selection of the data to a data table and then work with the data on the memory. Now in this case we need to pick up each record one by one. Now an instance of the employee, so employee name 1 is one instance of an employee, employee name 2 is another instance of an employee. Now whenever we deal with multiple instances of the same data type and we need to work on each instance at a time, the better way to do is to use a dictionary type of variable. Now we're going to see how that works, and for that we have created one master task and one subtask. So we have a master task over here and we have the subtask over here. So what we're going to do is, in the master task we are going to read the values. So let me just open the master task. In the master task we are going to read the values from the Excel table, convert the values one by one to a dictionary, and for each dictionary we're going to call the subtask, and the subtask is going to perform the task of filling up the form and then saving the file. So let's start with the subtask first. So coming to the subtask, we're going to create a variable of type dictionary, and we're going to name the variable as, let's say, dict employee detail. And we're going to tag this variable as input because this variable is expected from the master task, and we say create. Now in the code we are going to open the template file. So the first thing that we're going to do is create a copy of the template file with the employee name. Now if you go back to our employee details, this is the record for one employee and the employee name is in the second column. So that column name becomes our key name for the dictionary. So coming back to the subtask, we are going to go to list view for a better visibility, and then we are going to go for let's say we're going to go for a file copy operation, and let's just take the path of the employee form template file, and in the destination I'm going to paste the same destination, but in this case I'm going to change the name to employee form and then hyphen, and here I'm going to put the name of the employee. Now the name of the employee is already with me as part of the dictionary that is coming as input. Only thing we need to understand is what is the key name of the dictionary. So we press F2 over here and we select our dictionary, and in the dictionary key name we are going to use the same field name. So when the master task is passing the dictionary, the master task has to provide the same key names. Just copy this and paste it right here, insert. So we see that it has gone to the end. We'll just cut and paste it right after the hyphen before the dot. So the name of the file that we are going to create is employee form hyphen employee name dot xlsx. So for each employee name, a different file will be created, which will be an exact copy of this template. So the template remains untouched. Okay. So now our file gets created with the file copy statement. Once the file is created, the next thing to do is to open the file. So we go for Excel Advanced, open statement, and we just copy this path. Now going forward, we have to use the variable because the file name contains the employee name. Desktop file, and we paste it. Okay. We don't have to mention any sheet name over here. We are going to go with the by default sheet name, and it has to be in read write mode because we are going to populate some data. And the session name by default is default. We could change the session name based on our requirement, but as of now, let's just keep it as default. Now, the next step after opening the file is to do a set text operation, set cell operation. So we're going to do a set cell over here, and we mention the specific cell. Now we look at the format and we know that our cells are constant. They are not going to change, right? So employee code is always going to be D4, employee name is going to be G4, department is D7, and so on. And these are the 5 fields we need to populate. So we're going to mention the first cell as D4, and that's going to be our employee code. The cell value will be our dictionary variable that is coming from the master task, and the dictionary key would be the same as this field name. The master task is going to create the dictionary with the same key names, so subtask can use the same key names over here. Insert. So D4 gets the value employee ID, and this is our session name, which is same as the one that we used in open. So all our commands will use the same session name. So I can just copy this using Control C and just paste it again and again and again and again, so that I have 5 rows over here for set cell operation. Now in the second one, I am going to use G4, and that is for employee name. So this should be G4, and instead of employee ID, I'm just going to change the key name over here to employee name. Similarly, the third one is going to be D7, and that's going to be the department. So it's D7 over here, and I think it's DEPT, if I'm correct. Let me just verify this. Yes, employee DEPT. That's the field name, so that becomes the key name. Now the fourth one is, let me just go back to the form, is G7 for designation. G7 for employee designation. And the last one is D10 for salary. Is it employee salary or just salary? Let me just verify this. It's employee salary. Okay. So this is employee salary going to D10. Perfect. So now we have populated all the cells using the set cell command. The next action is to close the file by saving it. So we bring a close operation over here, and this checkbox is checked which says save the changes when closing the file. Once again, the session name is same as the one that we used for open statement. So every call of the subtask, every time the subtask runs, it runs with a new dictionary, and each dictionary that is passed contains a new record of this table for a different employee name. And every time the subtask runs, it creates a copy of the template file with the name of the employee, and then it opens the file and starts populating data, and then closes and saves the file. Now let's go back to the master task. Let's save this and go back to the master task. Now in the master task, I am going to open the table that contains the data, right? And I'm going to loop through this table, and for each record I'm going to populate a dictionary and pass that dictionary to the subtask. So let's start with the Excel Advanced command. If you've seen my previous videos, I have already explained this. Excel has a basic set of operations and an advanced set of operations. Now, the basic set of operations is meant for systems which do not have Microsoft Excel installed. These commands can be executed on Excel files without the Excel software being present. But the advanced set of commands are for systems where we have Excel installed. Okay, so now we go for Excel Advanced Open, click on desktop file, and then take the path of our employee details table. Paste it here, and we are opening this table. And this is in read-only mode because I don't want to make any changes in my source table, right? So this is completely in read-only mode. Once again, the session name can be default. Now, the next command is to get the details out of that sheet and put it in a data table. So I can use get worksheet as data table, and I mentioned the specific worksheet. So in this case, the specific worksheet name is sheet 1. It doesn't have any other sheet. So just mention sheet 1 over here. And this sheet contains a header. So the first row is definitely a header row. So I check this checkbox which says sheet contains a header, and I'm going to go for cell value instead of the cell text. So any kind of formatting can be ignored. I'm just going to go with the raw value of the cell and assign the value to a data table. So this is where I create a table. So I say TBL sheet data, okay, and create. So now all my data in the table is now populated to a data table, right? So I don't need to keep this file open anymore, so I can go ahead and close this. Now comes my data table operation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the data table. So a loop command, and then in the iterator I'm going to select for each row in a table. So that's the data table operation. I choose my table. Now for each row in a table, one by one the rows are going to get picked up, and those rows are going to be stored in a record type variable. If you see my video on data tables, you'll understand that each row or each record in a data table is stored in a record type variable. So I have to create a record type variable. So I just started this with RCD for record and give the same name as the table, sheet data. Create and select. So this is TBL sheet data and this is RCD sheet data. This is the entire table and this is just one record of the table. So every time the loop runs, a new record gets populated in this RCD sheet data variable. Perfect. Now this is done. So inside the loop, we need to create a dictionary because that dictionary needs to be passed to the subtask. So in the variables, we are going to create a dictionary type variables. Let's say employee detail. We can keep the same name or we can keep a different name and then the subtask. It doesn't matter as long as we keep the mapping intact, right? So we create a variable called DICT employee dictionary. Now this is a blank dictionary we're creating. Sorry, this should be dictionary. The type should be dictionary. Create. Let me just verify the type in my subtask, and it is dictionary. Yes. Okay, so now my dictionary is created. I need to insert new keys in the dictionary with each key having a specified value. So for that, if you have seen my video on dictionaries, we go for the dictionary package and we go for the put command. Now the dictionary put requires a source dictionary where we need to create the keys, and this is the key name that we are trying to create, right? So in this case the key name would be the field name. So we start with the employee ID field. And in the value, let's just go select our record variable RCD sheet data. Now it seems like we cannot put the index over here, so let me just go for a different way. Let me just go for a string assign statement over here, and I say F2 RCD sheet data, and I can go for the by name because the sheet contains a header, so the record knows that which header refers to which value. So the record with this name will contain the employee ID value. So I say insert, and I can just temporarily assign it to prompt assignment, right? And coming back to the put statement, I'll just select prompt assignment over here. Assign the previous value to a variable. Now although this field cannot be empty, but this is something that we don't require. Once we assign the value to this new key in the dictionary, since the key itself is new, we don't actually have a old value, right? So this field in this command is not exactly significant, so I'm just going to give it back to prompt assignment, right? And the same way I'm just going to copy this set of commands, click on this dictionary and paste it again, then click on this, paste it again, paste and paste. So I have 5 sets of commands for 5 fields, right? So this is done for employee ID. Now this one is for employee name. Give it to prompt assignment and give the prompt assignment to this put command for the key employee name. The same thing is here, and third field is, I think, employee department. So this third one, DPT, give it to prompt assignment, and in the put command give the prompt assignment to the key name, DPT, employee DPT. Similarly, we have the next one, which is employee designation. And the next one is employee salary. That's the last one. So now at the end of this loop, our dictionary is created with 5 keys, each key having 5 values of that row, which is part of the loop iteration, right? So now inside the loop, we need to call our subtask and pass this entire dictionary over there to the subtask, and then go back and go for a new row. So the same process goes on and on for the number of rows in that table, which is 10. So we have 10 employees in the table, so our loop will run 10 times and our subtask will get called 10 times. So to call a subtask, we have to go for a task bot run command. Now here we select control room file and we choose the file. So basically we are browsing the control room for our subtask. So now I have selected my subtask from the control room, and if you see, the moment we select the subtask, it says it's asking for an input value, which is a dictionary type of value, which is DICT employee detail. I check this, and here I put my dictionary name, DICT employee detail. So whatever dictionary I have created here, I'm going to pass the entire dictionary to my subtask, right? Now let's run this code and see what is the output. Let's save this, and let me just close my Excel files which are open. Save, close this and save. And while running, I'm going to run from the master task, which will read the detail file and call the subtask. Okay, so the error says unable to save employee details.xlsx because it's a read-only file. So the mistake I have done here is I have opened this file as a read-only mode, because obviously I don't want to make changes in the source file, right? But while closing the file, I have checked on this checkbox which says save the changes. So that's not going to happen. So I remove this checkbox and I have to close the file without saving it because I've opened it in read-only mode. Okay, so let's just try this one more time. Now I see that the subtask is getting called for each record that is present in the employee detail table. And I'm guessing that the subtask is creating a copy of the template form with the employee names and populating the data. Let's just see that the bot has run successfully. Now let's go back to our folder, and voila, we have all the employee names starting from employee 1 all the way to employee 10. We have all the employee files created. Now let's try to open the files one by one. So let's start with the first file, this file 10. And we see that the employee code, employee name, designation title, department, and salary, everything is populated. Let's try with a different file. Let's say employee 6. Once again, employee code, employee name, designation, department, and salary. So in this way, using the put command, we are creating a dictionary dynamically on the fly by taking records out of an Excel table. And whenever we want to pass a various attributes of a single instance of data. It could be employee records, it could be inventory records, it could be invoice records, but we're trying to pass data for a single instance of an entity. Dictionary is the best way to pass that. And in the subtask, we have just accepted the dictionary variable with all the values. We have created a copy of the template file with the name of the employee, right? So in the copy statement, we are also doing a rename. Instead of directly creating a copy of the file, we are also renaming the file with the employee name. So our original template remains untouched. And then using a set cell operation, I am setting the specified cells and then closing and saving the file. So this was a very simple use case that we have discussed using Excel operations and dictionary operations. Just try that out, and if you face any issues, let me know in the comment section, and I'll be happy to help you out or post a next second video for you. Thank you.